Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, I am going to be working with this die set from the Stamps of Life. It's called the Milk Bottle Fold It die set, and it makes an A2 size card shaped like a milk bottle. Of course, you don't have to use it on a card because you can always use it on a scrapbook page. I think this would look so adorable as a die cut piece once you see this put together. So it comes with the large shadow die, and then it comes with the layering die that you can decorate the milk bottle. If you are using this as a card base, this would be your card base, the die that you use to cut out your card base, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. So it also comes with two cookies. You have a larger cookie and a smaller cookie. So here's the shadow, and then you have your top layering piece. Same with this one, there's two pieces, a shadow and then the top piece. It also comes with a die to cut out chocolate chips. It also has a die. This can cut out some sprinkles to put on your cookies. It also has this die, which if you use, this doesn't cut anything out, but if you layer this onto the top layering piece on a cookie and run this through the die cut machine, it will cut out the cardstock, but then this will imprint these little lines on the cardstock itself. So I'm sure you've seen cookies that have these little lines on them. You can use this as frosting and maybe just use some of like the Nuvo drops or the 3D ink from the Stamps of Life and just trace over these lines for frosting. These would also look like those little almost like burnt marks on the cookies, so that is an option as well. And then you also have the word milk and the shadow, and you don't have to use the shadow. These letters are individual letters. You can use them without the shadow, and you can put them on your milk bottle. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch this over to VoiceOver, and I'm gonna make a card with you today.
So I'm starting out by taking a piece of the powdered sugar cardstock. I die cut it with one of the cookie dies, and I'm pressing that onto my Versamark ink pad to get some of that Versamark ink all over the top of that die cut piece. And then I'm sprinkling on some of this blue embossing powder because my whole goal here is to make it look like these are frosted cookies, and it's going to add a lot of sparkle to the tops of these cookies. So once I get all the embossing powder onto the top of that cookie, I will just put all of that excess embossing powder back in the jar, and then I'll be ready to heat emboss this cookie. So I go ahead and take out my heat tool and then just apply a layer of heat there over the top of that embossing powder. And there was still a little white piece at the edge of that cookie that didn't have embossing powder, so I do go back in, add some more Versamark ink and embossing powder, and then just heat set that again. So you can see the sparkle and the shine applied to the layer on that cookie. So now I'm going to take another piece of white cardstock. This was cut with the larger cookie die. I'm doing the same thing. So I went ahead and put the Versamark ink on there. This time I'm using a pink embossing powder. So I'm just going to sprinkle that on there and then get rid of the excess. Just tap that off, and then I'll be able to save whatever is left over. So I'm just going to put that back in the jar and seal that up. And then I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to apply some heat to the top of this cardstock, and you can see how that embossing powder is setting really nicely on that cookie. So this way it just provides a lot of nice sparkle. If you don't have embossing powder, you can always take these cookie dies, die cut it out of some patterned paper or some regular solid color cardstock, and you could also color them. You can watercolor them, whatever you want to do to make these cookies look nice. So now I'm going to take these pieces, these layering pieces, and add them to the top of some ginger snap cardstock that I cut out of the shadow dies. So I'm just going to add some glue there and then add that to the shadow piece. So this card is going to have these two cookies. You can also incorporate the new cookies to stamp set with this milk bottle Fold It if you wanted to do that. And then I die cut the chocolate chips out of some of the vanilla cardstock from the Stamps of Life, which is a very light cream cardstock, and I'm giving these some white morsels, so white chocolate chips, and just adding those to the top of these cookies. Next, I die cut the milk bottle out of some of the powdered sugar cardstock, and I'm going to add a sentiment there at the bottom. You're the milk to my cookies, and that is out of the guava ink from the Stamps of Life, and that sentiment is from the Sayings for Cookies stamp set. I'm also using the Faces for Stamps stamp set and adding a face to the front of the milk bottle. And then I go ahead and use my cloud ink and just put some cloud ink on the edge of that milk bottle just to give it a little bit of a shadow. And then you can see there I have some of the blue cardstock that I die cut out of the Sky cardstock from the Stamps of Life. And that's going to be the shadow layer for my milk bottle. And then the top of the milk bottle was cut out of that striped piece of pattern paper that you see there on the table. So I go ahead and add the top piece to the shadow layer just with some liquid glue. And then I'm going to take the cap and add some Sky ink just to add some dimension to the cap. And then I'll add that cap directly to the top of the milk bottle. And then I'm going to position the cookies where I want them. They are going to be extending off the right side of that milk bottle. I'm going to put the pink one in the back and the blue one in the front. So once I have the blue one where I want it, I'm just putting some glue on the left side only, adding it to the milk bottle, pressing that down. And then I'm going to turn the milk bottle over, and I am going to, as I hold the cookie in place, I'm just going to trace a line because that's going to tell me where I need to add glue. So everything within that line is going to have glue on it, so I'm just going to apply the glue to the back of the milk bottle and then add that cookie back in place, and then just press that down really well. Next, I'm ready to make the card base, so I'm going to take a piece of ginger snap cardstock and fold it in half. And then I'm going to press down on that fold in the cardstock. Just use a bone folder to press that down. And then I'll take the largest die in the set and place the die just over the left edge of that fold. I'll run that through the die cut machine and it gives me the card base. And then I'm going to add glue to the top of that card base. And I'll add that milk carton right to the top. And then I'll just press that down really well. So I'll just turn it over, press that down, make sure it's fully adhered. And then I have a little ribbon that I tied in a bow, and then I'm adding a glue dot and adding it there to the top of the milk bottle. And I'm just loving how this cute little milk bottle turned out. And there is the card. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Thanks for watching and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.